Thank you very much. My name is Christopher Butner. On May 28th, at the most recent Calaveras County Board of Supervisors meeting, Martin Huberty-led Calaveras Visitors Bureau delivered a shoddy and disrespectful presentation to Calaveras County government that demands further explanation and remedy. Why was the Huberty-led Calaveras Visitors Bureau represented at that meeting by a county employee, specifically the county's appointed representative and liaison on the Calaveras Visitors Bureau's Board of Directors? Why did the Huberty-led Calaveras Visitors Bureau fail to have in attendance one or more representatives of the Calaveras Visitors Bureau Board of Directors or one of Huberty's staff members, presumably capable of knowingly reviewing the budget with the Board of Supervisors and CEO? Does the county's appointed representative and liaison on the Calaveras Visitors Bureau Board of Directors understand that she's representing and serving as the willing mouthpiece for an outlaw business bureau that has been intentionally and fraudulently misrepresenting to the government and to the public the legal status of its California nonprofit corporation type since July 2021? Do any of you understand that the TOT funding provided by the Calaveras government to the Huberty-led Calaveras Visitors Bureau belongs to its members now? Do any of you understand that there are legal differences between a public benefit nonprofit corporation and a mutual benefit nonprofit corporation? It appears not. Do any of you understand the legal ramifications of the Huberty-led Calaveras Visitors Bureau continuing to fraudulently display bylaws on its website that have been expired for 3 years while the county knowingly continues to fund that fraudulent activity? You've all known since August 2023 that the Huberty-led Calaveras Visitors Bureau is misrepresenting the legal status of its California nonprofit corporation type since July 2021, yet entered into a 4-year contract despite that glaring fact. The Calaveras Visitors Bureau bylaws published on GoCalaveras.com deceive and fraudulently misrepresent the legal status of the Calaveras Visitors Bureau nonprofit corporation type to the public at large. For nearly 3 years now, on Calaveras County District 3 Supervisor Martin Huberty's watch as the conflicted executive director of an outlaw business bureau operating largely on public funds. Martin, it is long past time for you to resign as the executive director of the Calaveras Business Bureau due to your pattern of breach of fiduciary responsibilities. Focus your dwindling time as Calaveras County District 3 Supervisor, performing the job that you were elected and are paid to do. My name is Christopher Butner, publisher of Calaveras2024election.com. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam District Attorney, would you like to make any comments on this building?
Good morning, Barbara Yook, District Attorney. First of all, I'd like to thank Deb with Lianakas for putting this all together and working so diligently on some of the way this has evolved. My personal preference is the red barn design. I think it's very, very well fitting with the campus, but I understand the board had some concerns about that. We just want to have a building. We want to be all together, and of course we are concerned about safety. I don't know that, but my understanding is that this fire sprinkler system is not required by code, but I appreciate you being concerned about our safety, and if there's a way to add that back in, we'd certainly be in favor of that. As far as our preferences, we would like the first priority to be the doors and the walls that for some of the locations. There is one item, some restroom finishings. We're not concerned about that. We don't need the fancy tile and some of the other items. But as we drill down on it and we get the estimates, then I think we can work through the pick list of the add alternate items. And you know, I'm here if the board has any questions about where we see this going. We know we are not on the same time track, but I believe the admin is still wanting us to push. Especially because of the terms of the contract, we are still trying to push for our same groundbreaking and move-in date, so we're very pleased about that, and we're looking forward to continuing to work with admin and Lianakas on this project.
Thank you. Any questions?
I just want to say we're very proud to have figured out how to come in under budget.
I do have a question about what we're delivering to the CVB. Their $400,000 budget as presented is their entire budget for the year, and they're sitting on cash reserves of roughly $260,000 in savings accounts. That seems like a lot of money to be sitting on when we've got other needs. I do not question the validity of what they're doing or the quality of their work. I just, with all the needs going on in the county, having a department sitting on almost a year of funding in reserves, I would like to propose that we reduce the CVB budget to $300,000 and put the rest somewhere else. Is anybody going to go along with that?
I have a couple of questions.
Supervisor Stopper?
Wasn't the reserve quite a bit more the prior year?
Yes.
It was quite a bit so they have two
And
accounts.
It's not a department, it's a separate entity, so I just want to
Right.
make that clear. Sorry.
No, you're right.
They have two accounts, so they have a reserve, which is about $103,000, and then they have their other account, which is essentially their cash flow account, and it was quite a bit more last year. This year,
Significantly more than what I recall.
It was-
So it was drawn down this with approximately the same budget.
it was, and we met with CVB staff last week. They had excess COVID fund monies that they were spending down in this year's budget. That is not in next year's budget.
Right. And so the reason I'm asking this is because the difference between the current 260K and what was last year and what worked with the drawdown, it's pretty close to another $200,000. So those cash reserves, they have been using this last year. And personally, them coming forward with the $400,000 instead of requesting the full amount, and them drawing those down last year, I appreciate the work they have done, and I see that if we reduce it by another $100,000, sir, from my perspective, they will be upside down a little bit on the drawdown, the way the numbers work out, from what I recall.
I don't think so, but
I think it was closer to $500,000 to $600,000 in the reserve last year they had.
that is correct.
Right, so they drew down $300,000 of it. And at that rate, that's $40,000 more than their reserve this year.
Correct, but I was just looking at how they can maintain inadequate reserves, burn down the cash they're sitting on a little bit. Seems like $150,000 is a pretty good reserve to have when we're giving them $300,000. Madam CO, you have a point you'd like to make?
Yes, so it's my understanding that the CVB had built up quite a cash reserve during COVID when they weren't doing as much tourism promotion, but they have begun doing a lot more tourism promotion right now, especially as we're going into potentially a recession, to make sure that we are maintaining those tourists coming into the county and contributing to that TOT pot of funding that we're talking about allocating right now. It's really important that we do make sure that we're bringing those tourists into the county and that we're making sure that we're promoting out there. So that's what they're doing right now, is trying to make sure that we're keeping that funding up at a sustainable level for everybody else.
Supervisor Stopper?
I just want to say that last year, I went with you, and we both agreed on it, and it was a little bit of a hard fight. I see the CVB stepping up and doing more, and I see, with the numbers I just explained, that doesn't pencil out, sir. So this year, I cannot support going further than the current $400,000, because I appreciate the work they've done towards those things.
Okay. Well, we'll move on to the consent agenda.
Consent agenda's items are expected to be routine and non-controversial. They will be acted upon by the board at one time without discussion. Any board member, staff member, or interested party may request the removal of an item from the consent agenda for later discussion.
Thank you. Are there any board members who'd like to remove an item from the agenda, consent agenda?
Chair, I don't want to remove anything, but I'd like to abstain from voting on items 10 through 15.
Thank you. Any staff that have any items they'd like to remove from the consent agenda? The members of the public who'd like to remove something from the agenda? 12, please. Could you come up to the microphone?
12, please, Supervisor.
Thank you. Online?
We have no online request.
Thank you very much. I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda, Supervisor, excluding item number 12, which we'll pull from the agenda. And for the record, therefore, Supervisor Hubbard is abstaining from item 10, 11, 13, 14, and 15. Good?
I'll move the remainder, sir.
Moved by Supervisor Stopper. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Supervisor Fallendorf. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries 5-0. We'll move on to item 12.
Item 12, Resolution Administrative Office, adopt a resolution approving fiscal year 2024-25 recommended budget for the distribution of transient occupancy taxes to the Calaveras Visitors Bureau.
Thank you. Mr. Chris, would you like to come up?
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Christopher Butner. You've all received an advance copy of the following comments and recommendations regarding the proposed TOT allocation of $400,000 for the Calaveras County District 3 Supervisor-led Calaveras Visitors Bureau in the county's fiscal year 24-25 budget. I'll now read those comments and recommendations for the official public record and for evidentiary purposes. The Martin Hubbard-led CVB ceased to be a California public benefit nonprofit corporation nearly 3 years ago in July 2021, yet the CVB continues to publish bylaws on its Go Calaveras website that misrepresent the Business Bureau's legal status as a public benefit nonprofit corporation when in fact it is a mutual benefit nonprofit corporation. This intentional misinformation perpetuates a false narrative and misleading public impression of where public TOT funds are being allocated. While receiving nearly $2 million in public TOT funding over the last 5 years, the CVB routinely misleads the public and its government benefactors concerning its fiscal impact to the county by failing to adjust its reporting for inflation and therefore failing to accurately report the real purchasing power of the county's annual tourism revenue. In real dollars, utilizing the U.S. government's Consumer Price Index for accuracy, the fiscal impact of the CVB has in fact experienced negative or flat growth under Hubbard, as I previously stated to you and published to Calaveras2024election.com. District 3 Supervisor, in his conflicted role as Executive Director of the CVB, has been the subject of an ongoing FPPC investigation since July 2023, case number 2023-00471, for evidence of campaign finance violations during his 2020 campaign for District 3 Supervisor, for his failure to disclose multiple sources of income as the CVB Executive Director and Chamber of Commerce CEO. For those reasons, the Board of Supervisors is urged to conditionally place the CVB on financial probation for fiscal year 24-25 until the Outlaw Business Bureau, 1, has finally remediated its delinquency as a California mutual benefit nonprofit corporation, 2, District 3 Supervisor Martin Hubbard has resigned as Executive Director of the CVB due to his breach of fiduciary duty and conflicts of interest, and 3, the CVB has liquidated the remainder of its rainy day fund to a $150,000 reserve, at which point the CVB may request incremental infusions of TOT funds as needed for operations in 3 tranches of $100,000 each, contingent upon meeting performance objectives, for a total allocation of $300,000 in fiscal year 24-25. My name is Christopher Butner. Thank you.
Thank you. Other comments on this item in public? Any discussion from the board? Supervisor Stopper?
So moved.
A motion by Supervisor Stopper on number 12.
Second.
Second by Supervisor Toffenelli. All in favor?
Aye.
And I'll abstain.
One abstention. So it carries 4-0, 1 abstention. Thank you.